Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Haymarket View. I'm one of your hosts, John, here with another one of your hosts, David.
Hello.
And here today we have to talk about so many things. Midterms, everybody. Midterms galore. We have so much to say about that. Not to mention the October Revolution 105th anniversary happened the day before, technically, of us recording. We're recording, I guess, starting at 12:30 a.m. on the 8th of November, right before the election midterms happen. At least on the count, right, David?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
We're right. It's happening, baby.
Yeah, of course.
It's ongoing.
And as you guys know from the title and possibly the thumbnail, depending on how we're going to be doing this, we're going to be talking about that and probably a couple other things about it. So I don't know if we should start with that. David, do you want to start with one of our other topics that we've have down?
Let's talk a little bit about, I guess, abortion, but also about single issue voters. I think
in what way? Hold on which aisle?
Okay, that's actually a good question. I've always thought this. What the hell? I think there are Democrat single issue voters. I think there are, but I think they're like
really?
a kind of a declining group, and I would imagine they're mostly older people. Like, I feel like most Democrats, the people that are like the hard line, like the resistance types, the people, you know what I'm talking about, those types, have like a whole host of stuff. They have like a host of different issues that they sort of view as being paramount to why they're like, because Democrats, in my experience, at least middle class Democrats and like kind of more like the PMC types, they tend to be like the sort of I vote for them because I'm a good person.
A little bit, yeah.
So they're usually not single issue.
Yeah.
Republicans, though, I would argue by and large, very single issue oriented.
Very single issue?
Beyond the really fanatical ones.
Okay.
Yes, I would say so. Or unless we're talking about the rich.
Okay.
Different
I still need to think. It's worth mentioning, by really fanatical, how many are there?
Probably a few million, I'd presume.
Out of
I would say the entirety of the Mormon Church.
Exactly.
I would say. And most like non-denominational Protestants in the Deep South.
What about like Pentecostals and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Of
like that.
Black and white. I would say, like, regardless of race. Pentecostals.
How many black Pentecostals are there?
A lot.
Really? Where? In like Texas, Louisiana?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, damn.
And
all right.
They're pretty hardcore Republican for the most part. A lot of them are like the types who like.
Chill, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, like the sort of like anti-Obama, like Obama's, going to hell, that sort of shit. Because Obama wanted to legalize sodomy, or, I'm obviously.
Damn.
I'm not saying that.
Unfortunately, right? No, okay, guys.
No. But when I say, I don't mean that, but like he wanted to legalize gay marriage. And I think for a lot of like evangelicals, just in general, regardless of race, that was like a weirdly important issue. I remember.
It was a weirdly not.
But he was also Muslim.
It was
so
just
very contradictory.
It's true. It was just a decision that was very unexpected. Yeah. And I think we can all like chalk it up to be. But this is like. This is a very micro point.
And if I'm correct, I believe Obama's like gay marriage stance didn't come till his second term.
You know what? I hate saying this, but today's Democrats have a habit of doing that. They have a habit of just waiting until it's opportunistic to be a part of the status quo. I'll be honest. I can't blame them. They're opportunistic. They're politicians. It's how they work. They do probably want to make the world better. They just think that it's depending on what everybody around them thinks. And for a while, people like Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, and even Obama had very, very, very rigid stance on marriage. And only until recent has things like that from Biden even changed,
Of course.
Like it's really interesting how these kind of things happen.
Biden's sort of an oddity in that sense. He's part of that, like the Irish Catholic Democrats.
He's a
That's a very specific
in that
group.
way. I hate saying he's a grifter. He's a grifter.
Yeah,
he's a grifter.
And he was like always like he was always part of that. He was like a red Tory for a long time. I know I use that term too much. It's really obscure, but that's the exact.
He would right now. He could be interchangeable with progressive conservative in Canada.
Yeah, I would agree.
He would be perfect. He would be perfect for that role.
His only thing, even the LGBT stuff, a lot of PCs still are pretty like tolerant-ish. Maybe not as much about trans issues, but I think most conservatives in Canada.
I think they can be brought over. They can be brought over on trans issues.
Maybe the next couple of years.
Not on economic, but they can be on trans issues.
Next couple of years, as the vibes continue to shift.
They can at least do things like accept Bill C-16. That's still such a contention point amongst them. Such a contention point.
That's a big problem for them.
Very big problem. I think that's the biggest difference between them and accepting neo pronouns, at least as like they them. Okay, at least they them, which are barely neo pronouns.
Well, at the end of the day, I think it's the most common form, so it's the most accepted that people understand.
Yeah.
Pronouns is another topic where it's like I wouldn't consider that single issue, but it's all because it's not single issue. LGBT stuff.
It's connected to okay, hold on. So, I hate saying this, but you know what? You can be trans and not give a fuck about neo pronouns.
Sure,
most of the people who are trans are not neo pronoun users. I hate saying this, but it is true. The online people who pretend to say that all the people who are trans and non-binary use these different pronouns are wrong. They use they, them at most. Most of them use he, him, they, them, or she, her, or some combination of those.
Yeah. I don't think and this is like very
I've met some people who have done fluff's self.
Really?
I've seen a bunch of dough, which isn't the biggest. That's actually not even the worst one. There are some of them that are like cursed/cursed self, and I'm like, no.
Well, how serious is
that? You know what? They had at least they had the balls to message me about it on a couple of servers.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. No, it's something where, like, if that's what you want to go by, that's totally fine. But don't expect everyone to fully get it, I guess.
Exactly. You can't expect people to like reach their hand as much.
Get anything, man.
Yeah, as much as you'd love, you can't force people to reach their hand as much as you would.
Yeah.
Not everybody's gonna meet you halfway.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
When we still have when you have like so many of the major Republican candidates who still think it should be totally illegal to even talk about just like gay people. Like, that's such a high bar to entry, that stuff. You'd think, okay, maybe the 90s that would have been like the end of it, but no. And yet here we are. But those are certain issues, because the problem is that like the average politician in the U.S. is so old. And like they these are people that have had political careers since
the 70s, 80s.
Yeah, so it's like no surprise that they still hang on to a lot of those same
they were born in the baby boom.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And then they ran office, and they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep my squat here until I die.
Yeah, and honestly, like, if we're talking about like the kind of weird dynamic between boomers and zoomers, I think that's probably gonna happen with zoomers too.
Unfortunately, I hate saying this, but I think they should repeal the law that makes it so that judges are there for life.
Probably.
Or you can be once you're like a judge, you're appointed for life as a judge.
I mean, I think at this point we should probably just like maybe limit the age, like, on voters, because if you're like 83, do you really need to
on
vote?
Voters? Yeah. What are you talking about? If you're 80 years old, then you might still have 10, 15 years if you have good genetics.
Yeah, but if you're 80 years old, you probably like supported segregation. You probably supported.
Maybe you didn't, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to vote now.
I disagree. No, it's like,
really?
what do you have to add to this at this point?
You have to add to this?
You've had so many chances to vote.
You have to add the shit in your will, respectfully. You want things in your will to go to things.
Based.
To be good things.
It's not worth it, man.
I don't know.
I genuinely think, listen, if you're like, shitting yourself, you should not be allowed to vote. Unironically, if you shit your pants multiple times a week,
if you can't wipe,
then you should lose your voter's license.
Yeah, if you can't wipe, you should lose your.
That should actually be a requirement to get voter ID.
Be able to wipe your ass.
Yeah, or like the fact that you're pissing.
How would we fucking enforce this, David?
I mean, tell us. We're slowly moving towards a surveillance state. I think the next step is going to be security cameras in the men's bathroom.
So we're just going to have inspections. So that we're just going to have inspections by that.
Yeah, like, it wouldn't surprise me. Like,
who are they going to hire to inspect by the cameras? Like who are they going to be like? Because you could probably cheat the system. So
probably some pervert or something.
Some pervert. So we're gonna just hire like Justin Trudeau's like extended family or some shit.
Why not, man?
You know,
do you think
Castros,
they're at that
if you
point
will.
yet?
Sorry.
Do you think they're at that point yet? Like when is it gonna be that like the CCTV cameras are just gonna be everywhere?
The CCTV are not going to be everywhere. Canada does not have the care, nor the will, nor the budget right now for that kind of shit. Right now, Trudeau is trying very, very hard to let everybody forget about the wee scandals that happened a couple of years ago.
I'm just saying, even in the States, like when is it going to get to the point?
That's a hard say. That's a hard sell too.
I was talking to like a friend of mine, a Korean friend of mine who like
Korean friend
who like lived in Seoul, and like basically you're on camera like 24/7.
On Seoul?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, probably.
Cameras everywhere.
If not by security, by some fucking passerby.
Like low key, like
doing
TikTok
some lo-fi ASMR like aesthetic walk on Seoul,
oh
like fucking just as everybody tries to do this shit in Japan.
Please pray for the sky.
Pray for the sky.
Fire upon us.
Okay, David, give us a little bit. God. Give us a little bit more juice here.
Okay, here's more juice.
Give us a little bit more juice.
Basically, the Republicans want, hypothetically, to take the House of Representatives.
Yeah, so explain to everybody the three major parts of our government and branches.
The U.S. government, yeah, man.
Okay, sorry.
For the American.
Not do the three major parts of the government. So that you have the presidency.
You have presidency, you have
the House of Representatives,
and you have the Senate.
Exactly.
And basically, the issue is the Senate has a lot of influence on laws passing, on bills. Lots of influence.
They have pretty much some of the biggest votes.
Yeah, like almost veto power, more or less. Like they can veto shit, no problem, if they have a Republican or Democrat majority, which they have Republican majority. So
yeah, them, the speaker, and a couple of other executives.
Oh yeah, exactly. And at this point, I really don't know enough about the speaker about the House of Representatives to say for sure if that's actually going to happen, because that is a goal for the Republicans to try to overtake that, because then they'll have basically a like well, I guess they already do they already have a majority government?
Oh, I hate saying this, but going into the midterms, I don't know.
Shit. Fucking bourgeois.
I hate saying this.
I'm sorry.
No, this
is all kind of a headache for everyone, but the point is this is very important. It's very stupid, but you should care about it nonetheless, because for all we know, we might be seeing a far more Republican-y future the next couple of years. I think that's actually maybe even worse.
I think when you mean Republican-y, I think you just mean that the Republicans are going to veto. I don't think they're going to get any votes.
Like you don't think that they're going to get the presidency?
No, of course not. No.
Probably not.
No, they're not. They're not. They're really not.
They just don't have a good candidate who's popular enough. I don't think.
Who do you actually think would fucking do that?
Fuck.
There are people who they've been fucking championing, but frankly, they're not it.
Yeah, they don't have it.
They don't have it. They don't have it against Biden, who's done a lot to either help people or get people through the pandemic. You know what they're probably going to do? It's probably going to play out exactly how the Canadian one did. To those who don't know, the Canadian one happened. Trudeau stupidly and politically opportunistically held a vote during COVID, a possible vote of non-confidence, and he won, extending his term for another 4 years. And frankly, what's going to happen is there's not a possibility, for example, for this to have as much of an effect, but frankly, this is going to play out the same way. Biden's going to hold the presidency. I would argue that there's probably who has the most. There's more Republicans in the Supreme Court, right?
The Senate.
In the Senate.
Yes, that's the majority.
So I think they're going to keep the Senate Republican, right?
Yeah, that's what it's looking like.
Sense.
Yeah. And
then, if I'm saying this correctly, I don't know. I need to read up on my American politics. I'm so out of depth. But the House of Representatives might go either way. It depends on a bunch of states. Which are the swing states right now for the House of Representatives?
Shit.
Because that's the real question. Because don't get me wrong, we're gonna have our blue states, we're gonna have our red states, but who are gonna be the swing states in the House of Representatives? Who are going to swing that shit?
I'm thinking Florida.
You think Florida?
Florida, maybe Ohio.
Ohio.
Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan.
New Hampshire, maybe.
Maine? No,
Maine,
not Maine. Not Maine.
Or is it New Hampshire? I think
No, it's
New Hampshire.
Michigan and the other one next to it.
Fuck, Wisconsin? Or Minnesota?
Minnesota.
But the issue of Minnesota actually does have a decent Democrat base, though, because of Ilhan Omar. And because of, like, her influence in Minneapolis.
You and Ilhan.
Me and Ilhan Omar have a very storied relationship on this podcast that we've talked about briefly and joked about a little bit, but I genuinely want to see her win.
We know.
But yeah, she legitimately she is popular in Minnesota. Like, she does have that kind of pull. Similar to what AOC has, I guess, in New York. Like, they're just certain politicians that have that. Or even, what's his name in Florida? Can you believe Matt Gaetz is still a career politician?
Oh, I thought after his scandals that he would have been ousted from his position, let alone from his community.
Wasn't there a thing where he was, like, judging, like, fucking 8th grade beauty pageants and shit?
There was some really
like, taking weird pictures.
Sus stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. To add a little bit of, I guess, dragon breath into this fire. Sorry, everybody. To those who don't know, I'm very not sober for our episodes. Let's talk about Zoomer culture really quick.
Ooh, that was a topic, yeah.
That was another topic.
We briefly touched on that, talking about Zoomers versus Boomers, who I think are going to have a lot in common, actually. More in common than any previous generations for the past, because Gen Xers and Millennials were essentially this weird little in-between transitory period of modern neoliberalism. But Boomers are the perfect and Zoomers are kind of the perfect opposites, aren't they? Because you have, like, they
truly are.
We were raised with all this hope, post-war, everything's going to be great. We have an empire all of a sudden that's bigger than it ever is before, because obviously the American empire was not born in 1945. It just started getting bigger progressively after that. Because, there was still, like, Cuba and, like, the Spanish-American War was probably the biggest. And even then, it was really just, like, imperialists competing with each other. That's what the Spanish Civil War, or not Spanish Civil War, the Spanish-American War was. Because those were, like, that's really where you get, like, the first, like, American colonies. Like the Philippines, Puerto Rico, Guam, Cuba for a period of time, Dominican Republic, etc. Places like that. That became...
Where you have, like, so much influence during the Cold War.
Yeah, of American
and then
capital.
they just have a fuck ton of 1960s American cars.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys gone to, like, downtown Dominican Republic? Oh, my God.
I've never been, but I've heard that.
It's really interesting. There's a crap ton of cultural preservation there from a lot of different influences. Yeah. Lots.
But yeah, I think also the issue is another thing that I think is very similar with Boomers and Zoomers is, like, this weird sort of, like, political polarization and, like, kind of a loud minority is another one. Because, like, when you look back at, like, the 1960s, like, the whole flower power thing, really it was only really a small percentage of Boomers who actually were, like, hippies or anti-Vietnam. You look at surveys from the time, a lot of America was very pro-Vietnam. They were. It's fascinating how, when you look at media from that time, there was
most middle class people were very very okay with it. But they were just like, America has to do what America has to do.
Here's the caveat, though. They were extremely anti-refugee. In fact, I think if you're talking about refugee resettlement, the 1970s was like the time where Americans were the least in favor of it in any decade, basically.
Are you serious? America being xenophobic?
I know.
No way.
They were racist?
Wait, hold on. I never heard of this. America being racist?
Yeah.
When? Wait, hold on. When?
In, like, 1977.
Holy shit.
Which isn't...
Does anybody know about this?
Yeah, can you believe it?
Okay, we gotta tell the masses. I think, guys, the U.S. is racist.
Dude, can you believe it?
Oh my God.
Shocker. But unironically, though, it's true. Like, there was this weird period of time where the U.S. was accepting, like, a lot of refugees from Southeast Asia. And it created this weird sort of, like... It was really the first like modern refugee crisis, you could argue.
Modern refugee from Vietnam?
Well, Vietnam, but also from Cambodia, from Laos,
There was
all three.
From Korea.
From Korea, yes, a little bit earlier, but yeah. And then we have like the current crisis, which I would argue is primarily like the silent crisis, which is that of like the Burmese refugees that have been slowly coming since like the end of the 90s.
What about are there any Uyghurs who are coming in?
Yes, but I don't think most of them have the same refugee status. I actually don't know.
Why not?
I think they're more like political dissident status. I don't know. But there is, though, specifically in D.C. and
they
in
have to be
Virginia.
refugee in some way, or martyr status or some shit.
Yeah, but I don't think
some protective.
But not to the same degree as like Burmese.
No, what do you mean?
Because they don't live in an active war zone. They don't live in an active war zone when they're literally being culturally genocided. Well, we can talk about that, but oh boy, that's gonna get some people some eyes.
Okay, we gotta talk about that on another time.
Jesus,
this is gonna get a lot of
freaking.
We gotta have this conversation when we're not
that
very.
Would be interesting, but
it would be interesting.
No, because
to
China,
say the least.
regardless, yeah, like I'm not even gonna debate that, but it's not a war zone. Genocide is not war, John.
Fine.
And to be
I still think that
refugee,
genocide can be war in some senses.
Combined with warfare, but I don't think the U.S. Department of Refugee.
I think you use warfare in genocide.
Escape maybe, but anyways, the point is the largest, the fastest group of refugees in the U.S. besides Middle Eastern refugees is definitely like Burmese refugees. And Burma / Myanmar, whatever you want to call it, that's one of those weird ones. That's a country that gets literally no coverage in the Western
Why
media.
is that?
Honestly, I think it's because of the way in which it basically completely surpassed the narrative, in the sense that it was never a huge priority for some reason. Like the U.S. never.
Because the U.S. doesn't have as much geopolitical interest in it. Go figure.
I suppose, yeah. I don't know if it's resources. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it's because it's like the least developed in Southeast Asia. But compared with like Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia,
yeah, there
was like Burma, and I also think part of it was because Burma was a British colony, and they kept control of it, and they kept it stable for a pretty long time. Like it really, there was like a socialist revolution and stuff in Burma, and there is still. Because basically there's a few different wars going on in Burma. There isn't just one civil war. It's really multiple civil wars, multiple ethnic separatist conflicts, multiple like weird kind of pseudo juntas are going on at once. Constant protests. It's interesting, and it really is like a mirror image compared to like somewhere like Thailand, because Thailand this year has actually seen a lot of like middle class like student protests. Did you hear about that?
I heard about protests being silenced.
Well, yeah, it's like protest because basically Thailand has been under like a pseudo military junta as well for here and there for the past 5 years. So yeah, you're getting like a lot of the student movement, which is like kind of cringe.
Where did you get the students getting shot up in? Where was it? Ukraine or somewhere?
Was it? Or was it in maybe or Russia or something? Yeah.
It might have been Russia. I'm not 100% sure actually.
But I heard about it. I heard about the Thai. But the issue is though, of course, is that the discourse is very basic in a country because the thing is Thailand and Myanmar are about as different as two countries that are really close to each other can be.
I bet, yeah.
Like they're about it's strange. It's almost like East Germany West Germany technically bordered like a bunch of like Czech Republic, like Czechoslovakia, Poland, East Germany. It's like that almost. I really would. I think it's just like completely alien, just across the border, and like a lot of people don't even really know that much. Besides,
like the U.S. It's like the U.S. Fucking Mexican border. Actually,
it is because if you look at numbers. Yeah, Thailand has more refugees from Burma than any other country in the world. They have like
just because too many people jumped the border.
Yeah, exactly. It's not hard, and they have like pretty big refugee camps there, especially along like the border and like the
Good. I'm glad they have camps. I'm glad
west,
they have camps.
I think it's in western Thailand, especially for the Karen people who
are
like I don't know that much about them, but they're like a fairly large ethnic minority group in like the sort of eastern part of Myanmar, who have been fighting like a civil war with the central government since like 1949 or something.
Holy shit.
Since like British independence, basically. So, yeah, I think they had kind of a good relationship with the British, and like they converted to Christianity en masse, stuff like that.
Okay, this is a very big fucking tangent.
It's
Zoomer
massive.
culture.
Well, I have no idea how we got here.
How the fuck?
We got to talk about Myanmar.
If y'all can like give us like a step-by-step analysis on how we got there, let us know in the comments. But okay, Zoomer culture.
So Zoomer culture, like I said, it's very polarized politically, because you have like the small percentage of Zoomers who actually care about anything. Like the people who spend a lot of time, usually it's more identity politics is like the easier one, like the TikTok crowd, right? Or even like
The
Zoomers
Twitter
on
crowd.
Twitter.
The Twitter crowd.
Yeah, like or TikTok, like I said, if we're talking about really young people who care about like certain idpol issues or whatever. And then you have the weird section of Zoomers who are either very like far right fascist or anti-capitalist, but really I would argue more aesthetic anti-capitalism than serious socialist or communist thought. Like the whole crowd, like the Hello Kitty says ACAP crowd.
Yeah.
Those people who really don't have any serious political convictions or ideas about anything. They just sort of like saying and wearing trendy clothes. Those people, they're basically just like the e-girl, e-boy types who claim to be leftists. Like, it's, I don't want to say it's embarrassing, because you know what? At least they're not trying to be their parents. I think that's cool, but that sort of stuff does kind of turn me off a little bit. It's a little bit where it's like, because what it is, right?
It's like the blind acceptance, the sheeple who go to the rainbow capitalism and say, "Good on you, companies, thank you."
Sure. Acting like rainbow capitalism or greenwashing or whatever is just companies trying to be nice.
Yeah, guys.
Like, it's so simple, and you know what?
I'm so happy. Let's get their mug.
Let's just buy this. Just buy these like friggin' Chips Ahoy. You know, they have a little...
Let's buy this Starbucks mug. They put like the Starbucks logo in like the rainbow, but it doesn't even have anything that's specifically for me. But let's get it. Come on, guys.
Yeah, like it's like that freaking.
And then you buy it, and then that's you eating your bug.
Yeah, it's like that Cumtown bit about like Dairy Queen talking about mental like depression and stuff. It's like it just doesn't.
I've never seen it. You have to explain.
There's like a joke about how like fast food restaurants like used to be really funny, like the sort of advertisements they used to do, like the Noid for Domino's or like the weird McDonald's Land characters with all that crazy like LSD lore.
Oh my god, the LSD lore.
And now you have...
Do you remember the Coke lore for the Ronald McDonald person?
Yeah. And then you have like the modern fast food industrial complex, which really tries to appeal to like, I don't know even who, if it's families, if it's grown adult man children, or if it's just stupid people. It's hard to say. Where they sort of market like the whole like, you know, we care about you here. You know, you come here, we think. It's almost like they're trying to...
You'll be so happy.
It almost feels a little bit like they're trying to like hire you. Like, you know, when companies do that, the weirdly overly positive corporate hiring advertisements, like when you, this is gonna sound really cringe.
Maybe.
And this is a very Zoomer sort of thing, but like, because Zoomers don't really go to malls as much as people used to.
Are you sure about that?
Apparently, by and large,
Where do they go then?
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. They're going to Amazon. Are you sure that's not just the online people?
Hey man, like malls are declining a lot in profit, and like malls have closed all across. Like the chain malls, you know, smaller. Like, okay, I'll say this: the big malls, the shopping centers, like that sort of shit, they're still making buco money. They're making good money.
They're making fuck you kind of money.
But the smaller, like kind of boring suburban nothing malls, the type that were built en masse in the 70s and 80s, those are dying.
Yeah, to an extent.
That have like, you know, like the malls that have like maybe an H&M and like the malls that don't even have a Hot Topic, like they don't even have a Zoomies, those sorts of malls.
Yeah, who just had like Sears.
Sears, maybe like an American Eagle or something,
Yeah.
or like Soft Mock,
Yeah.
you know. And then like the food court is always like they always have like A&W and like
You either had A&W, McDonald's.
Manchu Walk.
If you were in Canada, you'd have the Tim Hortons.
Yeah, in Canada, Tim Hortons. In the U.S., do they have Dunkin' Donuts in malls?
Would they have Wawa?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And do they have Dunkin' Donuts? Shit, I haven't been to a mall in the U.S. in years, so I don't remember. But, yeah, like those are still gonna be a thing, unfortunately, because in this current like capitalist culture, and even in Zoomer culture, like I think Zoomers, they like going to big malls, you know, they like going to like frickin' Yorkville and the Eaton Center, like that sort of shit. You know what I mean? Or Square One for us in Toronto. Like there is, I remember in school, people always talked about that. But I feel like the smaller malls, Zoomers don't give a shit. Because Zoomers, they don't just want to hang out in a mall for no reason. They want to hang out in a mall that's bussin'. They want to hang out in a mall with like a cool sneaker shop. You know? They want to hang out in a mall where they can buy Supreme and they can buy like little like frickin' Louis Vuitton slides.
And Balenciaga.
That's what they want. Because Zoomers are also very like hyper materialistic.
I actually hate that. I actually have a mind for that. So the materialism that I think is I think symbolized in much of the consumption that is happening with today's generation, not just with the Zoomer consumption, but it's going to happen with the Generation Alpha. The amount of short spans of attention that people are going to care for. Imagine, okay, so I was talking about this with David earlier, and I promise you we're going to link this back, but the attention spans of today's 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds, and 8-year-olds. Imagine with the influence of TikTok. Imagine, guys. Imagine how hard it is for a teacher to get kids' attention. Imagine, oh my God. I would argue there's probably a fair point to all the freaking wage increases of even the QP that we're going to probably talk about today, the different strikes and things that we're going to touch on. Mostly, I think it's worth mentioning that today's generations are going to be so wanting to pick new things up, to do more things quickly, more fast, and their brains are going to be hardwired from it from such a young age. Now, everybody taking in 2-minute, 3-minute TikTok, Fortnite edits, while at the same time as either watching more YouTube, again, 2-3 more minutes edits, or again watching 5-6 second edits on TikTok. Guys, the new generation is almost entirely fucked in that kind of way. Sorry, it's very it's very telling of how they're going to be treated later on in life.
For Gen Alpha,
yeah,
I mean I think Zoomers too, but Gen Alpha I wonder about even more, because really Gen Alpha are the first generation to have like the earliest access to cell phones, I would imagine, because like Gen Alpha is what
Zoomers.
No, the Gen Alpha.
No, Zoomers.
But what do you mean by like late Zoomers?
No,
because
us.
To me, I mean, how old were we really? We weren't coming out of the womb with a smartphone in our faces.
No, we weren't, but we were coming out with iPads.
Barely. Maybe when we were like in kindergarten. Actually, okay. I never
had one. I never
didn't
did.
either.
I never did. I had an iPod when I was older, but I was not an iPad kid growing up.
I wasn't either. I was quite the opposite. My dad had an iPad, and I was totally disinterested in it, to be honest. It was just sort of like something he had that he used to like occasionally.
You were disinterested? That's crazy.
Because like he didn't use it for anything fun. He didn't have any like.
What did he use it for?
I don't know, like freaking watching Netflix, probably.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but watching boring shit on Netflix.
Or okay. All right.
Or like
I see.
for Spotify.
I see. Shitting on your dad's taste. I get it.
I'm joking. For some reason, he also had a lot of music downloaded on it at one point. So
that's really weird, but all right.
Yeah, he would take it on
My
trips.
mom actually had the Apple MP3.
No, my dad thought an iPad was an MP3. I'm trying to think back to this. Yeah, he had a bunch of albums, and he would bring his iPad with it, like in the car on road trips.
Did you guys have like the phone, the parents or the grandparents? In my case, it was my parent, my dad, who didn't know what the technology was, so he would literally call our phones like our iPads, like, "Do you have your phones?" Or he would. It was really funny, because he would consider like Game Boys like PlayStations, or like dude,
well,
no, it was really
every generation.
It was just really ignorant. I'm really surprised on how quickly the culture shock has changed from Zoomer and Alpha to, or even millennial guys. Okay, let's not leave on millennials here. They have the internet. They still have the internet. Okay, they're not so fucking innocent.
And I do wonder if that's what it was. No, I think, but the millennials had two things though. They had the internet and they had 9/11.
They had,
and the rise of the surveillance state, the rise of the
war. No, you're right.
I think the millennials
you're
in
right.
an alternate universe, where let's say the internet didn't really get big. Let's say the internet stayed pretty niche. Let's say it was almost like a failed kind of experiment. And let's say 9/11 never happened. So let's say George W. Bush was never elected president. The boomers probably, or not the boomers, the
and Al Gore is elected.
Yeah, let's say Al Gore wins the election. Millennials probably would have been okay.
What do you mean okay?
Yeah, I don't think we would have had avocado toast if that had been the case. I think millennials would have been normal.
I think people wouldn't like Al Gore.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't, but like it wouldn't be Bush. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying, if none of that had ever happened, like millennials had actually pretty normal.
Bush really laid the foundwork with everything.
Oh, of course. Like our whole modern American society is born. Well, really, it's born with Clinton Reagan or Jimmy Carter.
No, Reagan.
You think Reagan?
Reagan, with shaping a lot of American interests with the tax cuts.
Ooh, well, yeah, he fundamentally changed all of that, like in terms of
he cut taxes twice.
Taxes, labor, everything, and also guns as well. But here's the thing: did you know, by the way, this is a fun fact, that Reagan was actually pro-gun control?
Yeah, he was.
People forget that. Very pro-gun control. Actually.
No, he was a true Republican.
He was, and he was in favor, and he was the one who basically outlawed machine guns in America. That was his idea. In case you didn't know, because before 1986, this is interesting. Isn't it interesting that in America, before 1986, you could legally own a fully automatic weapon, and like everything was fine, nothing bad ever happened.
Okay,
that's
so
weird, isn't it? I just think I
think that's the way it should happen.
I know, but like, isn't it weird how like school shootings and mass shootings in general in America
it's a cultural thing, not a gun thing.
I agree. That's what I'm saying, and we can talk about that. We can because
it has nothing to do with gun control. I promise you.
No,
Switzerland has a lot of guns, and they have no school shootings.
I know, and it's weird how that is, but I do genuinely think it's culture and it's also media. The way like the 24/7 media cycle, and just the weird way. I think 4chan probably has because how many school shooters were 4chan?
A lot, no, 99%. A lot, guys, a lot.
Overwhelming majority.
Like, a lot, you guys. I think one of the biggest tells if they're going to be a school shooter, are they constantly online?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Are they constantly online?
Even what's his name? Was it Dylan Klebold, Eric Harris?
Who?
The Columbine shooters.
Oh yeah, they were
like insanely
really
online.
Were they?
They were yeah.
They were very documentarian, so probably.
Yeah, they would have been the late 90s equivalent of being like chronically online. Like they were they had all these weird blogs. They were on like Doom fans fucking forums, like that sort of shit. They made Doom mods and like custom maps.
That's really cool, actually.
They were and they also made like weird blogs about like who they wanted to kill. I don't know. It's a whole thing, but yeah.
Damn, was this in Bowling for Columbine?
I think a little bit, yeah.
Maybe a little bit, but I don't remember seeing it.
Have you ever read the book that David Collin wrote about it?
No.
We actually had to read it in high school.
I never read, no.
We read it in grade 10 English.
Oh my God. I remember, to those who don't realize, David and I, we're both 18.
Yeah, we're both the same age, but we just went to very different schools.
But we both made a very, very funny assessment on, and this is another resumer culture thing.
Mm-hmm.
We did no work in grade 10 because everybody got let off, and basically the government said, hey, teachers, you can't lower a kid's mark to something it was before we went off for break back in March. And for essentially from March until June, nobody did anything.
No,
it was really great. It was really amazing. Everybody had a field day. I worked a lot, got some money. It was good, you know?
Oh my God. I was so checked out. Yeah, I was completely checked out in grade 10.
So checked out.
I was at another planet. I was legitimately.
I remember my math teacher called me and I part him twice.
In class? During class?
No, like out. Like she just called me. She was like, I'm gonna see you in class,
What?
right? And I'm like, yes, miss. I saw her in class, and I just fucked off for the rest of it.
Oh.
If she called me another time, I was actually gonna say, don't call this number again. Fuck off.
Was this when they were doing like in-person class with masks?
No, this was when they were doing fully online.
Oh, okay.
When the pandemic was really happening.
Yeah.
From March until that entire year.
Mm-hmm.
And then parts of grade 11. Big parts of grade 11. The biggest parts, I think.
Grade 11, yeah.
Or grade 11? Wasn't grade 11 entirely online?
No, it wasn't.
Or no, it wasn't.
A lot of it was, though. And a lot of it was like centered. Most.
Yeah,
for
most.
my school.
That was the online year.
And then grade 12.
And then they didn't make us do the OSSLT, and they made the student hours lower.
Yeah.
Too. That was really funny.
That was all funny. But
yeah.
I actually, for me, I think grade 11, grade 10 was literally just like completely like totally out, like checked out.
Yeah.
I was watching a lot of anime. I know, embarrassing. I know, cringe.
It's part of the Zoomer culture to kind of get by. I hate saying that.
Also, can I just say something about Zoomer, another weird Zoomer culture? And I know I've talked, actually, maybe I haven't, but I've definitely talked to you about it. But how I've seen this weird vibe shift in Zoomers when it comes to like anime and video games being considered like okay and even cool.
Tell me.
How like you've noticed that?
It's changed in the last 2 years because of the pandemic, but
like for instance,
girls especially.
Yes, I've met so many girls who have gaming PCs and who,
who have setups, who have like
online games,
who have custom built shit, and like they actually like know what they're doing, and it's really awesome. I'm really glad that a lot more people are getting into the PC gaming sphere, and let alone the modding sphere of that.
But also, I also think just the idea of people like wearing like anime merch, like the amount of like weird anime streetwear that you see at like Winners and stuff now. Or like at like Hot Topic, or even at normie places like H&M and obviously Uniqlo.
If you guys will go to Hot Topic, it's all like meme shit. It's all like online kind of like cultural, like it's all like general meme culture kind of ideas.
Another weird observation. I think Zoomers or like younger people, Zoomers, I guess maybe our age but also younger. I think Zoomers like Hot Topic.
I like Hot Topic.
What's up with that?
I fucking love Hot Topic. What do you mean?
Like,
I love that.
What I'm trying to say is that there was a period.
I go there all the time.
Can I give you what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
There was a period of time where Zoomers did not go to Hot Topic.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Like people my sister's age, did not fuck with Hot Topic. That was like
because you had to be partly alt to go to Hot Topic.
Yeah, exactly. So normies did not go to Hot Topic.
Millennials, everybody went to Hot Topic.
Well, yeah, because new metal and all that shit.
Because in 2008 and into 2000s,
even earlier than that,
alt was super easy.
Yeah, even if we're talking like freaking
Y2K. Even if they're talking punk Y2K.
Yeah, or like freaking Limp Bizkit and shit.
Well, that's Hot Topic at its best. But sure. Anyways.
And like when everyone was wearing Jinkos in like 1999.
If it was even happening at that, was Hot Topic a thing at that?
Yeah, point? It was. Hot Topic was around the 90s.
Damn, it's been a thing for a while then.
Yeah, it has.
Holy shit, that's awesome. Good for them.
Oh, I know. They're consistently they're doing okay. I mean, for such a small chain, relatively speaking.
Are they a small chain?
Actually, yeah, smaller than you would. Well, first of all, they only operate in the US and Canada.
The power of Zoomers to keep these kind of companies afloat.
And I think it's because of like Little Uzi Vert and people like that, and like Playboy Cardi, and
who are like propping up these kind of businesses with their merch coming from there or whatever.
Oh yeah, because it totally fits the aesthetic. It has that weird gothy sort of thing, but it also appeals to people who don't care about guitar music, because
like me,
because a lot of people, young people, just don't really seem to care much about rock or pop punk or stuff like that.
David, how do you think the Zoomer culture is going to affect the elections? Like, if you're looking at the midterms and in respects to how it's going to be if Zoomers were all grown up right now, every single one of them, although most of them are growing up right now.
I feel like Zoomers are going to be very polarized.
Polarized, really?
I think a lot of them are probably going to be independents. I see that. Like, I think there's going to be a lot, like in like a few years, we're going to be getting a lot more candidates running as independents. I see that. Just because you have like the weird Zoomer, like, I guess nihilism, or kind of this like kind of very pessimistic attitude that realizes that, okay, both political parties are cringe and aren't going to work. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like we're going to have more of that.
Watch there be a hustler be the next president.
And I also think that we're gonna see a lot more like people who are part of like I guess racial or religious minorities voting Republican. I know that's like a weird take, but I seriously think that like especially for like Muslim Americans,
it's true, bro. It's literally
I could
true.
see that
It's
happening.
literally true.
Because of because of issues like gay marriage, for instance,
Abortion too.
Sure, or like whatever like social conservatism stuff. I'm not making generalizations of all. I'm just saying that's going to become a thing. They're going to start becoming more close with like the evangelicals. Like it makes sense because they share certain interests and they share certain spaces as well. Especially if we're talking about like wealthier Muslims who tend to be like kind of like, not far off from like the kind of status quo types. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Especially if they have like Gulf connections like to the Gulf states. What reason do they have not to vote Republican?
Not a lot, to be honest.
Besides the whole the racist, but also I feel like anti-Muslim rhetoric has kind of become a little bit irrelevant in recent years.
Because there's been better problems to care about.
Like obviously in Europe it's different. Like especially in Eastern Europe, in places like Poland or Hungary, but at least
places like Poland, it's not cared about. Sorry, everybody. I believe, in my opinion, that in Poland it's not cared about as much because you do get a lot of immigrants coming in places, even in the north of Poland, like Gdańsk, for school, and a lot of immigrants coming there for stuff like that. They're slowly getting less. I guess you could say. Ethnocentric.
I know, but if you're talking about like really like people protesting or whatever, like demonstrations,
they're not going to take in refugees.
No.
But
I'm saying that in comparison, and also I feel like, I guess there is one exception though, Iran. Iran lately has become like a new whipping boy, like Iran
for what?
For like I guess just like the American establishment on both sides of the political aisle.
Sorry, did we answer the question? How does boomers?
How are they going to impact the midterm?
No, it's Zoomers. Sorry.
Yeah.
How would they impact the midterm?
Like I said, my opinion is that Zoomers are probably going to be polarized and I don't see really many Zoomers being one issue voters. I don't know. I feel like majority of Zoomers probably skew Democrat just because of their age. Because younger people tend to skew Democrat.
I hate saying that, but you know what? For one of the first times in a while, we're going to see an Overton window change in the U.S. We're going to see socialism emerging as an actual political ideology that can be run for. Do you want to talk about that?
When you say, John, okay. When you say socialism, though, what do you mean by that?
When I mean socialism, I mean, okay, so to those who don't realize, my definition of socialism, if you can't piece it together, which I wouldn't be surprised if you could, and I haven't said too much on it.
It's different from mine.
It is not a system, rather a characteristic you apply to things. So say, for example, your workplace. You want to make your workplace as democratic as possible. You want to make things as equitable as you can. That is a socialistic workplace. If you want to make a co-op, that is a socialistic mode of production. Or at least a socialist mode of capital assignment, if you will. Or distribution, sorry. If we're using debate bro words. But I think you all get my point. Socialism is not a on and off thing. It's a bimodal system. You have capitalism and you have full on socialism being, I guess you could say, the epitome of collective syndication and co-ops, along with very little external investments to have as little, I guess, capital owners indirect to the company as possible. Sorry. Yeah.
In general, I would disagree to an extent. I don't think, at least to me, socialism is not as simple as that.
I think it is.
I think it's okay.
I think it has to be if we want to implement it into our current world and have a good jumping off point with class consciousness.
A little bit, but
no. I think if we implement it as a characteristic, we can get it way more in aspects of our world, and then we can infiltrate the larger majority of characteristics as turning it more socialistic instead of purely cannibalistic, if you will, capitalist.
I suppose it's better for the long term.
That's
like,
my model. That's the John Haymarket View model. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll definitely take Danish style social democracy over the current system, but that really isn't saying much. And I feel like there's only so much that sort of institution could really do.
Hey, look, dude, democratic socialism and social democracy works as a good jumping off point. You have to admit.
Yes, but I don't think they're one and the same.
I think Sweden would make a really good socialist state if they fully commit.
I think under crisis, I agree.
No, I think under now, if they utilize their oil.
Yes, but I feel like there would need to be some sort of major upheaval in North. Maybe if you're talking about like post-Russia invasion, like if Russia ever did in fact
They're not going to invade.
But let's say hypothetically they did. And there was like really like lots of devastation and then I completely agree. Because you already have, I mean, Sweden has a pretty high population of unionized workers. It has a pretty high population of...
You can launch that bitch off.
Yes. I'm just saying that like within the Swedish left, it would need to get a fuck
ton of progressive politics.
There is, but I think you would need something. Because the issue is you have also a very large middle class. So I feel like you'd need something that would disrupt the middle class first. Before, I think for any like highly developed country, to achieve an actual successful revolution, there needs to be some sort of chaos, disruption, violence.
You think there has to be some catalyst for change instead of the collective will?
Well, what inspires the collective will is what I'm saying.
Hey, we have this option. Let's go for it.
I think it needs to be more than that.
You think there needs to be vitriol feeding into the energy?
I think vitriol and violence, yes. I think that.
Damn.
And it
Red pill by guys, a black pill by David.
100%. Like it can be left wing violence or right wing violence. There needs to be it would be right wing violence, because then you would have a reaction from people where they would say, okay, like let's say if you have like that's what happened in a lot of parts of Europe in the post war period. Like why do you think all of a sudden so many people were in favor of socialism? It's because, well, the freaking fascists and the Nazis are trying to murder us. So of course, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, why is it that in Eastern Europe and in places like that, or even somewhere like places like Italy and Greece, which had pretty large socialist movements in comparison to the rest of like the quote unquote Western world, you know, you wonder where this arises from. And or the other example would be places that have been like I would say somewhere like Yemen, or even
Yemen's
Syria
fucked.
Or Iraq. Well, yeah,
Yemen's really
they are
fucked, guys.
But they do have a fairly strong left that I would argue is kind of segmented right now and is a little bit too, isn't purity testy enough, because there is way too much overlap.
Need funding first and foremost, guys. If you can promote funding and donations to Yemen, honestly, David, what we should do is we should run fundraisers.
Oh, I'd like to, yeah, or
start small. Anything helps.
Yeah, no, I would agree. But in a case where somewhere like Yemen, the issue is that like the left in Yemen, they're almost like are you familiar with like Latin American style liberation theology?
Not too much, no.
Okay, well,
although I am familiar with some of the liberations that have happened.
Well, basically, with like the ideology that you saw in South Yemen and among the kind of anti-Saudi kind of bloc of the Yemeni left, it's this strange synthesis between Islam and like Marxism, in a way that is almost like something you only see on like college campuses. Like the whole with like, you know, like the whole thing, the cliche about like people that are converts to Islam also being really hardcore Marxists or even like Maoist third worldists.
No.
That's
what?
a thing,
Explain,
dude.
please.
The ones who say like, you know, Inshallah, comrades, that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, no, I get that. Okay, fine.
Like unironically, I mean.
Maybe.
They exist.
I've talked to like one of them.
Oh yeah, they're fascinating, and I'm specifically talking about converts, not left wing people who are raised Muslim.
No, like, this person was raised Muslim.
Oh, okay. No, I'm talking about usually a white person who's a convert.
Okay, that's insane.
Have you seen
the video of that really not redneck, the red beard guy who joins ISIS?
Well, isn't he like Bosnian or something?
No, I don't think he's Bosnian.
Or Albanian. A lot of them are redheads.
No. He was like this American guy.
Oh, he was in America. Okay, maybe. I feel like I have, but I also feel like I've seen like people from the Balkans or the Caucasus who joined ISIS who also have red hair and are kind of fat. So
red hair and no, this guy was skinny as fuck.
Oh, he was skinny. Okay.
Yeah. So guys, to everybody who knows what I was talking about, just like the video. In terms of a different topic to move on over, Do we want to keep talking about Zoomer culture? Or we want to go.
I do
want
to talk about another thing with Zoomer culture.
Okay, let's talk about Zoomer culture for a little bit longer, and then we can go over to like Metaverse or Qatar World Cup.
So another weird thing I've noticed with them is how like weird they are about dating and about like love and relationships in general.
How so, David? Explain to the world your
like,
frustrations.
Not my frustrations. A lot of I think majority of people's frustrations, because a lot of people are
hit on some stuff.
I don't know, like the weird. Well, first of all, dating apps. So we have this world where like everything, like basically every relationship is like purchasing a cow from the farmer's market.
It's a transaction.
It's a meat market, is what it is. Because what it is that you're looking at this app that has like all these attractive people, and like, you know, you have to choose based on like the most basic possible features of them, like like because they would really read the bio.
Yeah, a lot of people actually read the bio. What do you mean?
But what do you really take it? But what catches your eye?
You take in if they're funny or not. You take in if their personality matches yours.
But don't the photos
depending on your app, you'll have more or less to go by. It just all depends if you're okay to fuck by whatever they give you or not.
Maybe, but you know, I think you have like the dating apps, which I think makes it kind of more difficult for people who are like less overtly.
It atomizes sexuality,
but also it commodifies it. Because
I don't understand why you do this, David. If you claim to be such a sigma male for anti-atomization.
What do you mean?
You're atomizing your own sexuality.
Well, because it's because of like it's easy. I don't know.
But it's not fulfilling. It won't give you what you need. So
you've never used dating apps?
I've never used a dating app.
That's based. I've
never downloaded. I've never had the need.
I've done it, man. But also I could make the excuse that it's because I'm autistic.
Sure, but that's not. Don't blame it like that. That's so cringe.
I know, but it's like it's harder.
Oh, for me. I'm sorry. I'm autistic, so I'm gonna look for pussy online. No, what the fuck? No.
It's true though. If you're an autistic male, and even if you're an autistic female, depending on how you kind of
if you're a female, you can get pussy whether you think so or not.
Well, yeah, I guess it depends on the person too. But I'm saying if you're an autistic male and if you have social anxiety, like because I do actually have like maybe it was a
for somebody who has social anxiety, you go for a lot of people. Well, and that's very non-social anxiety of you.
Okay, maybe.
Anyways, sorry, this is not an intervention for David. Everybody, the problems with the Zoomers and their dating is it's very transactional. What were you saying, David?
Yeah, it's transactional. It's very kind of this sort of superficial, and also Instagram and social media plays into it. Where like there's sort of like this ideal woman and man that is like the only thing that you're supposed to pay attention to. Like the whole idea of like Instagram face or whatever is so prevalent, it's almost absurd. Where it's like you either have people who are extremely, extremely adherent to that sort of standard, or people who look like they're from a different world. Like I rarely see people who are in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit. And
also another issue is that like I feel like Zoomers are sort of wary about sex just in general. I think you have a lot of kind of like Zoomers talk about sex.
I think there's either you're really not worried about sex and you have a lot of it, or you are worried about sex and you're so cautious about it. And there's very little in between in this generation, I argue.
But you get, for instance, like there's a lot of we talk a lot about sex, a lot about things like consent or about power dynamics or age gaps, et cetera, or like I even have a friend who is a bit younger. Well, he's like a bit younger maybe. His girlfriend is I think a year younger than him, and his friends were joking about him being a groomer.
What the fuck?
What?
Like of
her.
Oh my god.
Who's like literally like 8 months younger than him? Like that. I'm sorry.
So fucking stupid.
And I even said this to him. I'm like,
shit.
I literally said this to him. I'm like, that's the most Zoomer shit.
This is one of the worst. No. It's Coomer. But go ahead.
Well, okay, maybe. But I literally said to him, I'm like, dude, that is the most Zoomer shit I've heard all day. I really. And by the way, he met his girlfriend on VR chat.
Oh my god.
But which is a whole other problem.
That's a whole other story.
But yeah, and it's like they were literally, and I'm like, that wouldn't even come to my mind. That they're, and then the other issue. So yeah, we have all these like we're really like afraid of sex. Like we have this culture like around like a huge fear of sex, of sexuality, but at the same time we have like men who are severely addicted to porn.
Yeah,
I think that's the
worst
loop.
Thing.
Where like a lot of guys are like, oh, it's just so much easier to just watch porn, and then those guys who watch porn too much and it makes like, them completely undateable and completely unattractive.
It's like you're cucking yourself on the macro scale.
Oh, sure, you're guaranteeing your loneliness. It's like
Exactly,
it's like
exactly.
those videos.
You're guaranteeing it because once you actually get to it, it won't be it.
No.
You know, you have to have. It's kind of like you don't soil your palate.
No, because you've been
Yeah.
watching people
Yeah.
have fake sex
Yeah.
for the past 5 years.
And,
when
and
you
your
finally-
ideas are about it are going to be fucked, and you're not going to take what you need from it.
No.
No,
of
you're
course
not. Yeah.
And like I said, it's a feedback loop.
It's all about
It's-
perception.
It's
And
a
if
chicken and the egg question.
exactly.
You know, because is it that Zoomer, the reason why Zoomer guys, or I guess Zoomers in general, because if you're heterosexual, you need a guy and a girl. Why is it that heterosexual Zoomers don't have that much sex? Is it because Zoomer guys watch too much porn? Or is it the fact that they're not having sex that is making the Zoomer guys watch so much porn? Difficult question. I think it's maybe goes both ways. But, yeah, unironically, that's a big problem.
I think it actually starts first with curiosity kills a cat, so it's none of those faults. Yeah.
And also the internet, like the fact that because there was a time where being a coomer was an expensive hobby and a very weird, gross hobby.
How is it an expensive hobby?
Well, because you actually had to buy VHS tapes or laser discs.
Barely.
You did, dude, in the 80s. If you
Well,
wanted
okay,
to-
maybe in the 80s that's
what
different.
I'm talking about. I'm talking about in the 80s and 90s. If you were a coomer,
Okay, this is if you had like VHS and you had like camcorders, you had a job, you had to do shit.
Exactly.
But you were an insular person.
you were extremely insular.
Yeah.
And probably
You were like the Western hikikomori.
Oh, big time. And in some ways, that sort of archetype continued to exist in Japan until relatively recently.
Until currently.
Yeah, but I mean, specifically for pornography, because now
Sure.
digital pornography is pretty much easy to find anywhere in the world. But yeah, for a long time that lasted longer, and in parts of Europe, like in Germany and stuff, where you have home video has really only ceased to be popular within like 7-8 years for whatever reason. But yeah, you needed money, you needed a good job, you were probably were productive in that way, but you probably just didn't have much of a social life, and that was the sort of attraction. Now you can be a complete layabout NEET and be severely addicted to porn because you don't have to worry about being able to afford VHS or laser
All
discs.
you have to, it's the easiest way to live life is just draw furry hentai porn and live in your apartment while ordering DoorDash.
And it's utterly horrifying.
It's horrifying because you can do it.
Well, until you run out of money, of course. But
Well, no, because those fucking furry artists have so much fucking cash.
I guess
I'm-
they
no,
do,
no,
but
it's
if
actually
but what
disgusting.
If you can't draw and you're just a coomer
Oh
who
well,
has no
learn to
talent?
draw in 2 years and you can do it. I'm
Right.
telling you, I'm
Or
so
you can
sorry,
just
but
go
it's the
off of
truth.
it. What about
No.
the trust fund?
No, I'm telling you, guys. You want the free sauce? You want the
Don't
free
say
methods?
this.
Guys, you want the free sauce and free methods?
Fuck you.
Draw furry porn, or
Don't
if
do that.
not,
Please don't.
make websites for cold calls. Oh, no, I can't say this. This
The
is free
fuck?
sauce. You guys have fun. Bye bye.
Or you could, just
Okay,
get
not
a
bye bye.
job at Tesco.
And
or
okay, have
Kroger.
fun, wagey. Make your own fucking job.
This is another thing in Zoomer culture.
Make your own job.
John. I just
It's a hustle
realized.
culture. It's a very big
Yes,
hustle culture.
Zoomers are obsessed with side hustles.
And it's true, and it makes them more money. And guess what? The old way, and you want to know why? I can actually give a lot of insight to this because I'm one of those fucking people.
Oh my god.
I do it a lot. So, out of everything, it is literally about people realizing you do not have to go to business school to make a business. You do not have to. You don't have to do a lot to make a business. All you have to do is make an idea and have that idea be a product and put that out to somebody. And you know what? You have a project. If you can monetize that, you have a business. And you know what? Guess what? It's easier today to make new content, new availability for services than ever. You can make one in a day. And it's crazy how anybody with a skill set of social media, networking, graphic design, programming can literally make capital out of thin fucking air. The old ways of making money, saving it in a Roth IRA, do not work as well. The interest rates are not as good as they used to be for investments, and they're too high for interest. Okay, I'm telling you, there's a lot of shit that's going on right now that is not going to work if you're going to try to just hoard your money and save. Guess what? Inflation's going to come. It's going to come real hard and quick. Bonds are going to come, and they're not even helping inflation rates. Guess what? Chances are your best option is to put your money into some investment that'll appreciate in a volatile market that's growing. Maybe not right now because guess what? We're going into a recession. We're in a recession, like, technically, and All I can say is make sure your money is well invested into things that will appreciate, or put your money into a hustle that will make you cash flow. Respectfully, yeah, the choice is yours. Make sure that you can stay on top of your life and keep some sort of financial independence. Again, whether you like it or not, whether you like to admit it or not, whether you're in a position or anything like that, if you have access to the internet, you can make money. It is easier today to make a hustle than any time at all. And if you don't believe me, I can literally, in the next couple of videos, if anybody actually really wants to know, email at the official at the HaymarketOfficial at gmail.com, and I can literally give you some free hustle advice. Thank you.
This is the worst.
This is the worst, and I'm selling my course for $50 like Tate. Anyways.
Yeah, even you can exploit the third world from the comfort of your room.
Third world? Nah, you just exploit the servers based in somewhere in Chicago or Ann Arbor. You're fine. You're literally fine.
Depends on what your side hustle is, I guess.
Your side hustle should not include the expense of anybody other than the capital owners of other big companies.
Interesting.
And you can do a fuck ton with that.
Is this like radical Marxist?
Marxist side hustles work, respectfully.
This is so, what a panopticon of ideas here.
And you know what? If you don't believe me, bet me, and I'll fucking make you money. I'm joking. No, I won't make you money, but I'm actually down to show some people the sauce. You know, share some wealth. So be a leftist.
I want to do do you want to touch on meta a little bit? Because I want to do a whole episode.
A little bit. We should do our own episode on meta.
I want to do an episode not just talking about meta, but talking about like the tech
bro shit.
Yeah, like all of them. Like, I want to talk about Jeff. I want to talk about
Although we should speed run like one or two like topics really quickly in the next 5 minutes, and then wrap the episode up.
Key lime pie. Okay.
Metaverse. We've talked a lot about Keylon recently. Let's talk about meta.
Why does it look so shitty?
What do you mean?
It looks like a game.
It looks like a game lobby. It's a game lobby, guys. It's a game lobby, guys.
It looks dated already. Like, it looks like something that could run on the Xbox.
Yeah, it looks like something that could run on the Wii.
Yeah, exactly. And like the weird, because really the characters, they're almost like the Xbox Kinect. You know when Kinect was trying to rip off the Me thing?
Yeah, I remember that.
It reminds me a lot of that, like the avatars. In fact, the whole vibe of it has a weird Microsoft Kinect kind of feel to it.
I think that Microsoft Kinect feel is only there because they don't have a good fucking art lead. At least right now, they don't have a good and innovative sort of art style like Breath of the Wild or how Xbox had a very clean aesthetic that worked for the Microsoft aesthetic. I don't know.
This is really becoming like the most gamery episode of this podcast, isn't it?
No, actually, it's been pretty heavy on like elections and stuff.
I know, but we're gamer posting right now.
We're gamer posting, but that's because we're literally teenagers.
I guess so. It's acceptable.
Yeah, it's okay.
We're not like
it's okay.
35. What's your excuse?
Nobody gives a fuck.
I'm joking, but
no, you're not.
Maybe I'm not. What I'm trying to make is though, yeah, like why is it so ugly, and why is it like the most soy boring version of like freaking like cyber technology you could possibly have? Like, why is this the most why is this the most ambitious thing we could make with our modern, cyber technology?
What, the podcast?
No, I mean like the whole vibe of metaverse, where it's like,
oh, sorry, my bad.
You're basically like having like, board meetings or whatever, or like you can do work within the metaverse. Like you're working basically.
It's
you
just time for it's just time for the Facebook project interview. All right, guys, I have the meta room. Oh wait, fuck. Like something's going wrong. I can't connect to the server, sir. What do you mean you can't connect to the server? You're literally in a room next to it.
Yeah, exactly. Or like you're literally just, it's just, you have like a job.
Just some stupid fucking bug like that.
You have a job, but you wear a VR headset sometimes.
It's so cringe, man.
No, it's literally just like
Don't get me wrong. Standing desks are awesome, but fuck it, man. If you have to put on a VR headset to work, you should kill yourself.
It is literally, like I said, this is all related about, because there's going to be a time, right, where everyone is going to be like living in the pod and eating the bugs. And there's going to be the people who like, are still playing this version of metaverse. It's gonna be almost like, how we're gonna get into some serious cringy gamer posting.
It's gonna be like augmented reality shit.
You know how there's did I tell you? There's like with Dungeons and Dragons. There's like the weird
his specialty.
Fuck you. There's a rivalry between like 3.5 edition and
Oh,
like
yeah,
5th
yeah.
edition or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
like,
you told me.
I feel like there's gonna be a time with metaverse when we're all like, in the pod, we're eating the bugs, and there's gonna be people who are gonna be like having debates over what like update was like the one that really killed it. What update did it become cringe?
Which update killed our fucking
Killed
livelihood?
metaverse, yeah.
Killed our lives.
Which update ruined my ability to like pretend to have like a lunch date with some random dude who's probably either from Idaho or like Bulgaria, but was like pretending to be like some sort of like right wing bride, or like the weird like the conservative Eastern European bride websites or whatever, which are going to be fully integrated into metaverse. When is metaverse just going to become prostitution? Like, when is that going to get into
e-whores? There's going to be a fuck ton of e-whores.
Why not? Isn't there like a lot of that shit on Facebook? Okay,
Dude,
I don't use
girls,
Facebook.
Dude, that's how cam girls are going to have their own little private rooms that you can like talk to them like for rates an hour, if that isn't a thing already for VTubing and VR chat.
Isn't there a thing in Blade Runner?
I would, yeah, probably.
Where there's like a thing about how, like, you don't have you where that part where he's like, oh, you don't like real girls.
Yeah, I remember that. I think
so
weren't they just prostitutes?
It makes me want to cry.
Yeah, weren't they? What are they called?
I don't remember.
Variants or
something like that. Yeah.
No, it was something else.
Where like you can get like a virtual.
Or you can get like, or it was like, was it a clone person? I've never seen Blade Runner. I hate saying this.
You should watch them.
I should watch it. It's a really good movie, I've heard.
And the sequel, too.
Yeah, Blade Runner.
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah. Of course.
Bisexual lighting.
Of course. Yeah,
and
of course.
Perfect. Like, I love that, like, Sigma male edit YouTubers are obsessed with that movie.
Yeah, but you know what? Cool. It's a good fucking movie.
Yeah, because none of them, for some reason, I find there's certain sci-fi that those people just don't get into, but they really get into Blade Runner and Cyberpunk. But yeah, like, I mean, there is the people who are, like, the Paul Cockshot, like the techno socialists. I lean more towards like a techno skepticism in a lot of ways, and I think Meta is showing that like a lot of this fancy tech is really just waving keys in your face and not actually doing a lot or being very interesting. Like, I think technology has turned out to be a lot more disappointing than we originally envisioned even 20-30 years ago.
Bro, have you seen the Back to the Future shit? Like, compare, because remember, like, they literally had a thing like 2020 or 2016, and then they literally had the reunion of that movie at that time, being like, how is this world compared to, and they were like, perfect social cohesion or some shit. Like, no, I don't even think it was like something like that, but it was some futuristic, like some sort of social progression, and we never got close. We never got like a second close to it. No. It was really sad looking at it.
It makes sense because
it kind of makes sense
when
that
you
it would be
think about
sad.
it. Like, flying cars and hoverboards, that sounds cool in like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But it's a logistical nightmare to like engineer that sort of technology. It's just too expensive. It's too experimental. Too risky. What the hell is the point? Like, literally, when you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, of course.
And I mean, really, we all knew deep down for the real, the freaking transit chads here, who knew that, like, oh, we should have actually been funding Japanese-style public transit for every city in North America. But we haven't gotten that yet. So you know what? I'm fucking black pill.
Oh, we have to make so many episodes on the different black pills.
We need all that shit.
No, we need the different black pill episodes. That's what we need, guys.
Isn't this whole podcast a black pill?
Essentially. All right, everybody. I think right now this is not a bad place
to end it off for the night.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Like,
we've been going on for like an hour.
We've been going on for an hour.
Over an hour and 10, I think.
Hour and 10 minutes. Thank you for listening to this podcast. My name is David, and this is John. And listen, if you're interested, please like and subscribe.
Shut up. Okay, everybody.
Follow us on Twitter too.
Okay, David. Let me.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. Okay, everybody. For the actual outro, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this episode of the Haymarket View, let us know either by emailing us at haymarketofficial@gmail.com, letting us know either Twitter or any of our social medias linked in some place in our channel. Again, thank you for watching. I've been John.
And I've been David.
And we've been the Haymarket View. We will see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.